Hello, Vinyl Community. It's Matt here again, and we're gonna shift gears a little bit for this video. I know I've been talking a lot about the videos lately. I'm sorry. Well, sorry to anyone who doesn't like the Beatles. And what's the matter with you? I'm just kidding. But yeah, we're gonna talk about Mobile Fidelity Sound Labs today, and I have a little stack here of MoFi original master recording records that I picked up over about the last 6 months or so, and there's maybe 7 or 8 albums here, and not too many because some of them are quite expensive. Several of these were actually really cheap, which I'll talk about, but yeah, they can be a bit pricey. But Mobile Fidelity, for anyone who doesn't know, they specialize in sort of high-end audiophile grade records, and it tends to be reissues essentially of existing albums, but where they source the original master tapes. A lot of their albums, I have heard people say that they do have they're a little bright. They have like the smiley face EQ that's been applied to them, but I kind of like that because I like my music to be a bit on the bright side. And but yeah, they have their roots in the 60s. They were founded by a guy named Brad Miller, and he started off by recording sound effects like trains and the storms and rain and that sort of thing in California for the most part, I think. Although Mobile Fidelity is based in Chicago, I believe. But anyway, I think Brad Miller might originally be from California. Somebody can correct me if that's not the case. But anyway, I did show in a video a few months ago, and I think the video is called something like best sounding record that I own, something like that, and where I showed a very early record that, although it doesn't have the original master recording banner across the top of it, it was recorded by Mobile Fidelity. At least the sound effects were. So that's how they got their start. And then by the late 70s, they started pressing regular kind of albums that you would find in the charts, mostly rock albums, but also they started branching out to classical and soundtrack type stuff. So we'll get into that, but let's start off with the very first one. This is catalog number MFSL001. This was the very first one. This is an original pressing, and I bought this on eBay, and it was steel sealed, and it was really cheap, and I just couldn't pass it up. And it's the Mystic Moods Orchestra Emotions, and I haven't actually listened to it yet, so I can't tell you for sure what it sounds like, but it's going to be like the other Mystic Moods Orchestra records that I showed in that video I mentioned a few months ago, where it was one of their albums that I just was kind of blown away with how good it sounded. So it's still got the hype sticker here. It's still even got the insert at the back, which I intend to leave in, so I think it's kind of cool. I guess a lot of people would have taken that out at the time, but yeah, the key high fidelity component guaranteed to improve any stereo system, and it's just yeah, it's basically an ad. So the next one I have is MFSL004, the Power and the Majesty, and this kind of goes back to what I was talking about with Brad Miller and his sound effects. If you look on the back here, you can see pictures of trains. This is all like storms, thunder and lightning, and train sound effects, and it sounds kind of odd. And I don't think this has music to it. I have listened to it, but I don't remember for sure, but I don't think it does. And it just sounds spectacular. I mean, you can understand as well how impressive this would have sounded back in the day. Okay, by the time this was released, which was the late 70s, I guess. Yeah, because these were recorded in the mid 70s. Stereo was no longer quite in its infancy compared to what it had been, but still, you can imagine on a decent setup, this would have just sounded spectacular. I mean, the panning from left to right as the train moves across and that sort of thing. Next up, I think, is it this one? Yeah, this is MFSL008, and I'm going to butcher this guy's name, and I apologize, but Zubin Mehta conducts suites from Star Wars and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So Zubin Mehta is, or was, I actually don't know if he's still alive, but a conductor, orchestra conductor, and it's the LA Philharmonic Orchestra. And this was still sealed, so it was kind of cool. It was really cheap on eBay, and I just wanted like some Star Wars on vinyl, really. And the fact that it was a Mobile Fidelity pressing and it was cheap just sort of sweetened the deal. And yeah, this also sounds really, really nice. The next one is MFSL 009. This is Al Stewart, Year of the Cat. So remember I mentioned that Mobile Fidelity very quickly were branching out into regular sort of consumer chart albums, like a lot of them were rock albums, maybe even most actually. I can't think of off the top of my head of very many sort of, I don't know. You think of what was big at the time, like pop and disco. I can't think of really many Mobile Fidelity pressings off the top of my head that kind of fall into that genre. But Al Stewart, Year of the Cat, I suppose this is kind of soft rock, really, pop rock. But the title track is the one that everybody knows, but the whole album is really great. It's a very pleasant listen. And this was an upgrade copy anyway, and I had some credit at a store. So it's got a $45 price sticker on it, but like I said, I had some credit. I traded a bunch of records in a couple of months ago, and saw this sitting there, and I just thought, I wanted an upgrade copy anyway, because the one that I had previously was okay, but had a bit of inner groove distortion, and this just sounds spectacular. It was such a big upgrade. The next one I will show you is MFSL 038, and that is Champagne Jam by the Atlanta Rhythm Section. And I think this was like $20 or $25, somewhere around there, from a record store. And I've had this album previously, and I remember I got rid of it. I think I maybe donated it to a thrift store or something, because it had a warp on it. But yeah, for like $20, I thought, from an early Mobile Fidelity and it's music that I like, seemed like kind of a win-win right there. I love the artwork too, the fish. I love the cover. Look at that. Next up, this was a blind buy. This is MFSL 1-056. Now, some of these have the 1 prefix. I'm not sure what that refers to. Somebody maybe can tell me in the comments who's a little more clued up on Mobile Fidelity than I am. But this is Country Joe McDonald, Paradise with an Ocean View. Total blind buy. Didn't know anything about it, but I got it because, look, $10. I don't know. I just think you see a MoFi sitting there at a record store for $10, and if the condition's decent and it's very solid VG plus, I just think you grab it. I really do, because you're not going to find it as cheaply as that anywhere else. And I listened to it once, and it was okay. I liked it. I need to listen to it again, because when I heard it the first time, it was sort of on in the background. I think I was working or doing something, and I wasn't paying as much attention as I should have been. But next up, we have Raikuda and Chicken Skin Music, which also has an interesting cover. Speaking of interesting covers, I've always been sort of partial to that cover. It's, anyway. And this was an upgrade copy, because I had like an original pressing of this, regular pressing, of course. And although the record was decent, the cover wasn't that great. And so I'd been wanting to upgrade it at some point, and this was the opportunity. This was from the same record store that I had the store credit at, so it didn't actually end up costing me any money directly. And I saw this and thought I'd go to grab it. This on the back says limited edition of 3000. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not very well, but anyway. So this is number 1056 out of 3000, and it wasn't still sealed, but it was, I would put it at near mint pretty much. And this is just great blues music, and very pleased to get that. All right, 2 more to go. This one arrived this week. I didn't intend to buy it. It came up on a Reddit thread, or a subreddit, whatever they call it. And it's Dire Straits Brothers in Arms. I have a friend who has this, and I heard it on his setup, and it was just spectacular. I have a regular pressing of this, and this just blows it out of the water. On his setup, there were, granted, he has a good setup too, which helps, but there were just a lot of details, many of them subtle, but a lot of little details you would just hear the instruments just, you could just pick them out better than you could with the regular pressing. And when somebody listed this still sealed, and this is pretty expensive to buy, it's out of print, I just had to grab it, and I don't know how many they made. It's got a 2014 copyright on it, but it was a lot more than 3,000 like the Raikuda, because this one is number 17,924. So I'm guessing that they made, I don't know, 20,000, 30,000, maybe even 50. I don't know. It's a popular album, so I guess that makes some sense. So looking forward to spinning this. It's definitely an all-time classic. And speaking of all-time classics, last but definitely not least, we have Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon. And this was the first one that I bought out of this whole batch quite a number of months ago. And it was at a record store. It does have a price sticker on it of $100, but I did not pay $100 for it. I asked them what's the best price they could do, because I really wanted it. I just couldn't justify paying $100 because on eBay you'll probably pay 100 to 125 for it. But still, I was like, that's getting up there, you know. And I figured that they would just come back and say, well, we'll knock $5 or $10 off, you know. In which case I probably would have passed. But when they came back and said that they would knock $25 off, and I could have it for $75, which is now quite a bit cheaper than it tends to go for on eBay and so on. I know they kind of called my bluff a little bit, and so I did end up buying it, obviously, since I'm holding it right here. And yeah, I'm pleased I did that. It sounds really nice. It had been on my wish list. And this, by the way, this was an early one too. This is MFSL 017. This is one of the very early rock albums that Mobile Fidelity pressed. And yeah, I don't know. It's a classic, and it's definitely up there with one of the most expensive records that I bought as a result, even with the discount. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I guess maybe you got to splurge a little bit, and like I say, they sort of called my bluff. I probably wouldn't have got it if they'd held firm on the price, but yeah, because I'd even gone back to it. I think I'd seen it in there one time and I didn't get it, and it was still in there the next time. And so I said, okay, well, what's your best number on it? So that's how that happened. But I don't really have plans to buy any more Mobile Fidelities. I didn't intend to buy the Dire Straits. I just happened to see it on this subreddit thread. Because they can be expensive, although quite a few of those were relatively cheap, you know, $20, that sort of thing. But in fact, one of them was only 10, as you saw. But yeah, they often are expensive, and I don't know. I'm just not. I got them because, like I said, I upgraded quite a lot of my setup recently, and in the last 6 months, and I just wanted to have a listen to how they sounded, and I had that store credit, so that's where a couple of those came from. And a couple of them were upgrades as well, of course. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not really in the market looking out for them as such. If I happen to find one that I really want and it's a decent price, then okay, we'll see, like the Dire Straits. But yeah, other than that, I think I'll stick with that for now, because I've only got like 2 other Mobile Fidelities. I think I've got an Abbey Road, which I've had for a couple of years, and a Marshall Crenshaw, which again I think I've had for at least close to 2 years. And I just started looking on eBay, got lucky with a couple of auctions, got lucky with a couple of cheap ones in the stores, and the store credit took care of most of the others. So anyway, thank you guys as always for watching. Let me know what you think about the Mobile Fidelity recordings, and they definitely seems to be a bit of a split from what I've seen, like in the vinyl community, where some people think they're the best thing since sliced bread and swear by them. And I've seen some other people say that, well, they're a bit overrated, and they do sound a little bright. And not everybody likes that. I get that. I like it, but it's not, you know, that's not the same for everyone. So always appreciate everyone who subscribes. Always appreciate your comments, guys. And yeah, until next time, take care. Bye-bye.